of Amritsar newspaper, Maulana Abul Kalam Azad wrote an obituary heaping praise onto Ghulam Qadiani when Ghulam Qadiani died. What are your thoughts? Well, Maulana Abul Kalam Azad is an amazing scholar of the past. He's also associated with the Deobandi scholars, but he was a very kind of open-minded scholar. I believe he was half of Arab descent and half Indian descent. I think I could be mixing things up, and he was very critical about certain issues, and he wasn't like a blind follower in things. And amongst one of those things was this topic of the second coming of Jesus. He was also one of those scholars that said that that was just a myth and wasn't actually authentic. But so allegedly, the Hez is asking that he wrote an obituary praising Ghulam Qadiani upon his death. What are my thoughts? Look, I would say, look, if he did, fine. I mean, you know, Ghulam Ahmad Mirza Qadiani, I know, look, in the past, I've cracked a few jokes, a few at him, you know, what was it? Hari Ram serial kisser. You know, there was a character that I was showing. But look, we don't actually know, you know, we've never met Ghulam Ahmad Mirza Qadiani. I do feel that he was suffering from some kind of mental health issues, and maybe other than those issues aside, he may have been generally a great human being. He may have been. Obviously, people who knew him, his contemporaries, would know that better. They, you know, may have met him, sat down with him. He may have been, I don't know, like somebody who did other things. So besides his wacko idea of him being the saved Messiah, sorry, the Messiah sent to save the world, beside that, he may have actually been a very decent person to people in their interaction. He may have been. I'm not saying he was. I'm not saying he wasn't. I don't know about him like that. I never met him, and I've never met anybody that met him. But so if Abul Kalam Azad, who most likely would have actually met him, most likely, he may, you know, say some good words about him after he passed away. Why not? I don't think there's anything wrong with praising other human beings. Especially if you know them. You see, I was being asked about him from a theological perspective, not as a human being. I was being asked about him, what do you think about him claiming that he came to save the world? And I thought, well, that's not only a joke, but it's not a funny one. And then, obviously, because some of the Qadianis were trolling me, and I told them stop trolling me, and they didn't. And then obviously, you know how this one worked, you know. If you troll, I troll back. So I was obviously trolling him. So I was showing and saying that, look, well, look at, you know, just look at his turban and look at this and that. But I was really primarily trying to speak from a theological perspective that, look, I don't believe Mirza Qadiani came to save the world. And if he did an awful job of it, because he didn't save jack all, like nothing's saved. So that was my perspective. But as a human being, he might have been a great human being. He might have been somebody that, you know, visited the sick and gave in charity and smiled at people. He might have been, obviously these things I wasn't being asked, like, what do you think of him as a human being? Because I would just say, I honestly don't know. He may have been the fact that he has followers shows that he must have been a good human being to at least so many people. He must have been. So that's what I would say. Like, so there's no harm in people speaking nice about him.